Hey guys, it's drawing day again, and today I am working on one of my favorite subjects, and I've done a lot of them in my pieces over the years. I've drawn a lot of dogs. So I thought today's drawing demo, I think I've had some comments asking about if there was like a Loomis method for dogs or cats and things like that. And the short answer is yes, you just adapt the human form information from Loomis and just apply it to the dogs. You're really just looking for shapes, and if you can figure out those shapes and clump them together in the right way, you're going to have a nice drawing of your favorite furry friend. So today's subject, that's this guy right here. He's kind of a sad-eyed looking Basset Hound, and I thought he was just a hoot. So I thought it'd be fun to draw him. And as soon as we're done with the drawing, I thought I'd throw some marker paper on it and we'd do a quick marker comp, going down that deep, dark rabbit hole, that rusty tutorial of getting the markers out and doing some. So I've been trying to up my game again with the markers since I've had them stuffed away and they've just been gathering dust. I thought I'd break them out, crack the dust off of them, and see what we can do. So here we go. Nice little Basset Hound. So I've already pulled a bunch of colors that I think would use on this. Some grays, cool grays, French grays, some burnt siennas, some raw embers, things like that that I think would look good in this once we get to the marker comp stage. So let me get my paper oriented here. All right, so we're going to get him. He's going to be about right in here. His head's going to be right down here. He's got a pretty much kind of a shape, if you can get it, this shape right like in here. All right, so I'm just going to work big shapes first. All right, and then he tapers up into those big floppy ears. They come down in here as well. And then his nose is coming around right up in here, that jowl. Get that lip, that lower lip right there, his chin. All right, so let's get that nose. Kind of a fun shape right there. Gotta look there real quick. There we go. There we go. And get those eyes, those big old sad eyes right there. I don't even have to get the rest of him. He's already looking like a Basset Hound. So get that center portion like that. There we go. Let's get the skull. We got this shape here. Comes in right around the eyes, right up along the eye. Don't have to spend a lot of time doing anything on this. We'll catch all the detail when we get to working on the marker comp. So it comes down right along here. He's got that nice little white color around his eyes. Comes in around this snout. There we go. All right, so, and then we'll catch that ear. There we go. Got that fold under his neck. Yeah, there we go. We can get the ear. That's a big old floppy ear. Look at that. All right, so just finding the shapes. Once we get that head, it should be pretty much game over at that point. So again, just find the basic shapes, work them in. Here's that ear right along the edge of the head, comes down over here. There we go. All right, Mr. Ears flopping around there. All right, now we're cooking. All right, pull him down, get that shape, and in here, there we go. Get his little paw coming down. Got a little elbow right there. Comes down, gets that big, thick ankle. All right, now we're cooking. And then we'll just throw those claws in here. Those are going to be pretty dark. So yeah, it's starting to look. All right. Come in, got a little rib right in there like that, and we'll throw a little wrinkle, comes down. This one's a little bit of a different angle. We're going to get more of this back side of his foot, but comes right up along the side, right like that. Cool. A little shadow under there. All right, we're getting there. Oops, I did it ass backwards there. There we go. Now let's get the back part of him. He kind of comes down into this, kind of melts down into this shape down here. Get that color on his torso. Comes around. Oh yeah. Oh, here, hang on. Let me get the claws there. There we go. Get the toes in there. All right, now we're cooking. All right, and we'll throw, he's got that 1 foot behind, right back in there. We'll just kind of throw it like that. And grab that other little foot. His other little foot's going to be about right in here. If I can get it just right. Kind of this shape like that. Throw a toe there. Got a shape there, toe there like that. All right, good. All right, and then we'll throw the tail out here. All right, and we have a rough sketch of Mr. Basset Hound that we'll be able to throw the marker paper on it and get started on the color work. So let's get going. And if you notice, I typically will test my colors off on the corner somewhere like there, and just to see if I got the right color. All right, here we go. I'm going to just come in and really just kind of find all the various shadow shapes on the dog. And this translucent paper, you can really see the marks once you go into and start working with the markers on the paper. It starts to really pop the drawing from underneath. So a lot of cool colors, nice cool grays. He's a white dog, and I'm just going to build up some of the grays first. Put some up here on his nose and right up here along that transition there. And I need a very light cream color too, so let's see if we can find one. That's going to work pretty nicely, and I'm just going to layer in a little cream color in there as well, right along that little paw. Little paw, that makes me cry. I always think of the darlings on Andy Griffith when I say the word paw. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw some of that nice lighter color right up here on the browns of the dog. And this dog shouldn't take too long. Actually, a good marker comp when you're doing them, depending upon the complexity, they'll take anywhere from an hour or an hour and a half. And I'll put some right under the nose too. So, and there's a bunch right up under here. So we're just really looking for wherever those colors might live and exist. Some on the tail back there too. There's some right here. And right now you don't have to be very fussy about where you're placing the colors at the moment. So I got another, this is a little more of an orange, so I might throw a little bit of that right on the spots where the colors are kind of coming together. There's a nice light spot right up here. and on his face. All right, like that. So it is very similar to watercolor, where you're just layering in color complexities with glazing. And markers are translucent, so you're going to get some of that nice effect in there. All right, so, all right. And then what I'll do is find a nice medium gray, if I can find one. And that's 80, that's not medium, hang on. I'm dumpster diving. All right, there it is. All right, let's see if this one does. It's a 30% gray. And I'm just going to use it to do a little bit of work on finding the edges. Doing a little drawing is essentially all I'm going to do. Just a little structural drawing. There we go. Just looking for all the important stuff. There's his nose. I can get that nose just right. All right, and this right under his nose. There we go. Again, I'm just looking and trying to find some of that structure that I can use as I work with the rest of it. There we go. Oops, there we go. I do have my paper taped down, so it shouldn't travel around too much. There we go. All right, so. But yeah, it normally takes a good hour. Depends on how complex your marker comp's going to be. Okay, looks like we get some fuzzy edges right there. There's the other side of the paw. We'll get the underneath side. Get this back foot kind of happening. Got a little fat tummy there. Goes over to the leg. Get this other one. There we go. Get the tail. Alright, so, and then there's a nice gray undertone to this that I want. Okay. Okay, so let me get his eye right there. Reminds me of the eyes on the Bugs Bunny. No, it was a Looney Tunes on Feed the Kitty. I'm a connoisseur of Looney Tune cartoons. When I teach my summer animation course to the junior high kids, we watch a lot of Looney Tunes. And Feed the Kitty is one of my favorites, where the big bulldog adopts the little cat. And he thinks he gets baked into a cookie. So, all right, so we're looking pretty good there. So let's start going after some of that saturation. So I'm gonna grab a little hotter brown for the ears. See if this is too hot here. There we go. That is hot as hell. Hang on. I love the snap of those markers. Hang on, I'm dumpster diving once again. Let me see. Well, that's not a bad color. It's gonna kick it in the butt a little bit. I don't mind that. That's all right. Let's do it. This dog makes me smile. Although it was a bulldog in the Looney Tunes cartoon. Chuck Jones, the master of animation. Here we go. And we'll get a little bit out here on the tail as well. Alright, now let me get let me try a brown. Is this brown going to be too much? That's about right. Alright, so I can actually use this. I can do a little bit of that work on the ear as well. Okay. Actually comes right up under there like that. Comes up and around. We'll get his side of his jaw. Comes right up around. Alright, so there we go. I'm working around real carefully around the eye there. He's actually got brown eyes, so let's just do that. I can fix that. I didn't get his eyes quite right. I'll fix that. Here we go. Alright. Now we're cooking. Alrighty. And we'll come over on this side. Again, I'm just using the reference as general guide, and I'm just kind of riffing on the fact that he's just a big old fat Basset Hound. And I'll just play that up as I go. Alright, got some nice fur right down along that side. And I'm looking for more color. It's kind of got a nice little, I'm doing little textural marks right there. So there we go. We'll just bounce that up like that. Alright, so we got a nice tonal range. I'm going to throw a little more color right like that. Right up here is pretty dark as well. Right over here, that's a nice color. And that under color is working well. Alright, we'll throw that down right along in here. Right down in here a little more. And there's some over here. Want to make some directional marks, textural marks there. These are also tonal or hue marks. Okay. And now I'm going to get a darker color. That's the one. Alright, so right along and up in here. There we go. Yeah, now we're cooking. I'm going to go ahead and throw it up under here. And just define that little chin a little better. Okay, and right up and around the eyes. Yep, comes right along in here. All right, now we can really come in. Just gonna flip my marker, just do a big mass. And as dark as that looks, that's really not going to be the darkest we're going to use yet. So, back over onto the fine tip. I'm just going to do a little drawing, a little definition work. Okay. And I'm going to just draw a little bit here. There we go. And come over here. Gets really dark right in here. Pops out. Comes down along his leg. There we go. Comes up and comes under his tummy, right there. All right. I'm gonna get that foot. Comes on back to this side. There we go. Now we're cooking. He's starting to come together. I'll get a little darker right back up in here. Textural, directional, base colors right in there. All right, now I'm going to get, I just jabbed my hand. All right, I'm going to come in now. What is this? That's an 80. That's pretty darn dark. All right, let's look at this one. That's a cool gray 70. That ought to work. Let's look. That'll be fun. I'll work on the nose right here. So. There we go. And that under bit of gray, that's helping a lot. And we can even start getting a little denser colors. The gray on top of the colors we already laid down. All right, cool. There we go. All right. He's starting to come along. I've just about got enough blocking on here that I could start working some contrast and structure, detail. We're getting there. So, all right, I'm going to put a little more color right down here on his paws. Get a little more of that peachy color, or maybe a little. Just this is a good chance for some experimentation. How about a little violet? This is kind of a what's this called? A blush pink. I guess that will help right up through here. We can get some of that color happening on his paws, up under here, and on this paw there. All right, and I'm going to put a little bit right under the nose, a little more, right above it. And right up in through here. There we go. All right. And now back to some grays. I want some grays. I'll throw a little more gray on that nose. Knock it back a little further. Broad tip. I'm going to just come in and now kick some of those shadows in the butt. Alright. That looks pretty good. I'm going to throw a little bit of that under his nose, on his lip, and right up through here. And then I'm going to throw a few dots on his nose. There we go. Cool. All right. Now comes some of the magic. We're going to start working with some of this line work. All right. We're just going to start defining. And some of the darkest areas there on the nose. Get it right around that eye. Got a nice pupil there. I'm going to have to rescue a highlight there here in a second. It's funny. All right, let's get this side. And the structure is starting to happen. Get that ear information right there. There we go. Yeah, it's feeling good. Alright, now let's get this little paw down here. We got a lot of suggesting to do right here. And then this back paw. Right in there. And we'll just throw some shapes like that for the pads, paw pads. There's a claw. There's a claw. Throw one here, one right back out here somewhere. Cool. Yeah, now we're cooking. Alright, so that's working well. Get a little bit of it down here. Not a lot of, I mean, I'm working with line, but I'm not necessarily outlining. I'm just using broken line. I'm trying to define some of these details or create patterns that might read like it. So, got a nice black tail right back here. There we go. Alright, now this back side. Alright. And throw a little bit more back out here. Alright, so he's looking pretty good so far. I do need to get, now I need that. That's an ash gray. Sorry, hunting for colors. Alright. Now, I'm coming after that really dark shape right there. That bluish gray. And then I'm going to throw a bunch of it down over here as well. Darken that up. Darken this up. Cool. Throw some of it down out of here as well. Good. And then I'm going to just kind of do some little scratchy details there. Okay. And I'm just going to bounce around a little bit. All right. All right, and I want to hear the snap. I don't hear the snap. All right, now let's get a little more of this right in through here. A little more darkness right there. Just a bit right up here. Just a bit more down here. All right, and this also kind of defines some of the form of the dog's torso there. All right, and just to make it look cool, oh, hang on before I do that. Hang on, don't go away. We're still kind of working on the tail. Cool. Just making noise marks there. All right, and then let's thrust down a shadow. Cool. I'm going to just throw a little more of that over here. Fun. And I'll just give him a little bit of a environment. Perfect. And isn't that cool? All right. Yeah. He's a good looking dog. All right. We'll get a black. We'll do a quick little window for him to sit in. Doggone it. No pun intended. There we go. That's kind of fun. Did I make him square? Not quite. Oh well. That's life in the big city. It's fun to break the lines. There we go. That'll counterbalance that. Here's another opportunity where you can use an unexpected color in that, and it'll do all sorts of good things for it. And then last but not least, I gotta do something with those eyes real quick. Alright, so he's got a nice highlight right up here. And there's one right there. That's funny. Alright, good. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to put a couple right there on his nose. He looks like a good boy. There we go. One right down there. All right, there we go. That's our Basset Hound, our quick little drawing sketch using kind of the basic ideas behind Loomis or even Riley method. You're just trying to find basic shapes. If you can get those basic shapes right, lob them together with the other shapes, pretty soon you have an overall silhouette of an animal that you can then start adding your value and your detail and your fur, all the all that fun stuff. And then the bonus feature on this was doing a quick marker comp on top of it. So, hey, I hope you got some value out of this tutorial. And if you did, give me a like and a subscribe. Head over to my Patreon page and give me a $5 a month membership if you think anything I'm doing on this channel is worth that kind of investment. I'm trying to do these things for everybody to enjoy and to learn from, so I do need some support in continuing to do this. Head over to the video description, and I have all sorts of links for markers, brushes, paints, papers, pencils, pens, anything you can imagine. That list keeps growing and growing. So, and if you do use those links, I will get a commission from Amazon for any purchase that you make there. So I really do appreciate you watching, and I hope you got a lot out of this, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.